Within literally 24 hours after the Western media reported that Washington, London, and Paris had allowed the Ukrainian army to use ATACMS ballistic missiles and Storm Shadow cruise missiles against military targets deep into Russian territory, the first results of this deadly provocation appeared. So, on November 19, at 2 p.m. Moscow time, the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation officially announced that the Ukrainian army, with the help of American ballistic missiles, attacked the Bryansk region, in the western part of the Russian Federation. In particular, the 67th Armory of the Main Rocket and Artillery Directorate of the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation, located in the northwestern part of the city of Karachev, was subjected to a missile attack. According to the Russian military department, in total, the Ukrainian army fired about 6 ATACMS ballistic missiles at this military facility, 5 of which were shot down immediately after they crossed the airspace of the Russian Federation. However, the 6th missile was destroyed in close proximity to a Russian military facility, as a result of which the debris of this missile provoked a fire in the territory of the armory. According to officials of the Russian military department, the military facility received minimal damage due to this missile attack. The Russian military also reported that there were no casualties among the civilian population and personnel of the 67th Main Rocket and Artillery Depot. Commenting on the missile attack on the Bryansk region, American Congressman Thomas Massie said that President Biden, by his decision to allow the Ukrainian army to strike deep into Russian soil with the help of American missiles, committed a real act of constitutional war. According to Thomas Massie, Biden's decision put the lives of all U.S. citizens at risk. In the end, this congressman called Biden a castrated puppet of the deep state, and called on everyone to throw this old man out of the White House without waiting for the inauguration of Donald Trump, which is scheduled to take place on January 20, 2025. Thomas Massie's concern about the emerging threat to U.S. citizens can be understood. The fact is that the American congressman made this statement immediately after the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation, Sergei Lavrov, while in Brasilia at the G20 summit, said that the missile strike on the Bryansk region indicates that the United States wants an escalation of the conflict. Moreover, the senior Russian diplomat also added that the launches of these missiles were carried out by the U.S. Army officers, which was the beginning of a new phase of the war on the part of the West. Such missile strikes are impossible without the participation of U.S. Army officers. In this regard, Moscow will respond appropriately to Washington's decision on missile strikes deep into Russian soil, Sergei Lavrov said. At the same time, the Russian minister also called on the West to study the updated nuclear doctrine of the Russian Federation more closely, in order to avoid catastrophic consequences for itself. By the way, a few hours ago, the press secretary of the Russian president, Dmitry Peskov, answering journalists' questions, spoke in detail about the updated Russian nuclear doctrine. According to him, this document allows Moscow to use nuclear weapons in response to the use of not only ballistic missiles with a nuclear warhead against Russia, but also other types of weapons of mass destruction. Moreover, Dmitry Peskov stressed that the use of non-nuclear Western missiles by the Ukrainian army with active military support from the United States and other NATO countries gives Russia every right to use nuclear weapons against them. At the end of his speech, Dmitry Peskov added that whether the West likes it or not, Russia will still achieve all its goals in Ukraine, and that the special military operation will end with a complete victory for Moscow. Meanwhile, the missile attack on the Bryansk region by American ATACMS ballistic missiles caused a mixed reaction from U.S. allies. Surprisingly, even the leaders of Britain and France did not openly support Joe Biden's move. In particular, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, evaded answering journalists' questions on this topic. French President Emmanuel Macron also avoided discussing this topic with journalists in every possible way. Moreover, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni bluntly stated that her country does not support missile strikes deep into Russian territory, as this could involve the whole of Europe in a bloody war. Italy has made a different choice, Giorgia Meloni stressed. Meanwhile, Western military experts and analysts have already begun to wonder what Russia's response will be to the shelling of its territory with the help of American ballistic missiles. Nevertheless, if you ask me, I would tell you that I see only 4 options for further development of events. I am absolutely sure that Russia will use one of these 4 options. First, Russia will launch a direct missile attack on American and NATO military bases located on the territory of third countries. Second option. Russia will strike at American military facilities with the help of foreign hands. In particular, Russia will transfer its modern types of weapons to Yemen's Houthis and fighters of the Hezbollah movement, as a result of which the United States and its allies will suffer significant losses in manpower and equipment in the Middle East. Third option. Russia will destroy the entire U.S. satellite constellation, as a result of which the Pentagon will lose the ability to aim its missiles at targets. And finally, the fourth option. Russia will turn a blind eye to this provocation, and will simply continue to shoot down American ATACMS ballistic missiles over its territory. Especially given the fact that Russian air defense systems have quite successfully learned how to shoot down these American ballistic missiles. However, in my opinion, Russia should make a show of punishing the United States, to send a message to all Western warmongers. The fact is that if Russia turns a blind eye to this missile strike on Bryansk, it will inspire Western warmongers, and they will begin to act against Moscow even more aggressively and brazenly. I am absolutely sure that Vladimir Putin perfectly understands this too. In any case, the Russian president now faces a difficult task, and let's hope that Vladimir Putin will make the right and wise decision.